The reason why I wanted to do this video is because before October 10th happened, I did not know anything about Charlie Kirk or Turning Point USA. But after that event with him losing his life, everyone has been talking about him. Everybody, including Candace, has been doing videos about him. So I was kind of curious about exactly what is Turning Point and what was its mission. In 2012, an 18-year-old named Charlie Kirk co-founded Turning Point USA with Bill Montgomery. Their mission to mobilize high school and college students around conservative values, free market, limited government, and personal responsibility. By 2016, TPUSA had exploded around campuses nationwide, thousands of chapters, a growing donor base, and a bold presence in the culture war. Under, under Kurt's leadership, TPUSA launched campaigns like the Professor Watch List, calling out professors they viewed as ideologically based, and Divest You, urging donors to redirect funds away from universities they deem hostile to conservative values. But in 2021, a new branch emerged, TPUSA Faith, its goal to unite pastors and churches, empowering churches to defend their God given right, eliminate wokeism, and promote biblical principles in the public square. Critics says Kirk's work increasingly blended political activism with religious themes, what some call Christian nationalism, but supporters see it as a bold stand for truth in a culture that's drifting. Candace Owens became TPUSA's communication director around 2017 and held the role until 2019. In 2018, she launched the Blexit Foundation, aimed at encouraging minorities to leave the Democratic Party. By 2023, Blexit officially aligned with TPUSA. TPUSA didn't stop at America. In late 2018, Turning Point UK launched with George Farmer as chairman. Candace Owens met Farmer at a TPUK event. They got engaged within weeks and married in August 2019. As Christians, we must ask, are these movements drawing us closer to Christ or deeper into political identity? Are we defending truth or getting distracted by ideology? Not truly understanding Turning Point or Candace's relationship or affiliation with Turning Point, I was kind of curious about why Candace is speaking the way she is about him. As far as she's using subliminal messages in her when she's talking, but these messages go against Christianity. She's throwing just a bunch of names out there, and she's not saying how they relate to Charlie Kirk not being here. She mentioned Israel. She mentioned Netanyahu. She mentioned donors. She mentioned Egypt. She mentioned President of the United States, Donald Trump. She mentioned his son. She also mentioned everybody that works for Turning Point, that they had something to do with what happened to Charlie Kirk, or they're hiding something as far as information they have as far as what happened to Charlie Kirk. And more I learned about Turning Point USA, I still stand by what I said about Candace. When you look at what Charlie was building, he was building something that had to do with college students, with high school and college students. When you look at what Charlie Kirk was doing with high school and college students, he was pushing them away from the left. A lot of things that the left stand for, he was pushing them away from that. And he was bringing them to being more, when it comes to your faith, being Christian, doing the right thing, getting married, having a family, men, women, having kids together, building a family that way. That's what Charlie Kirk was doing with these young students. and you see that they was growing, his organization was growing and growing fast. It affected the left and the left agenda. And then when he came up with a professor who's pushing a negative ideology, they wanted to have these professors in these schools, the donors not donate to them anymore. So that is not just affecting, it's not just his words, but it's also affecting their ability to push their agenda. And it's also affecting their ability to get money to continue to affect to push their agenda. So what Charlie was doing, he was making a lot of people upset. And Candace, for some reason, don't want to point this out. She keep pointing to everyone else, but she's not pointing to how these people felt what Charlie was doing. Because if Charlie was making these kids step away from all this, same sex or change your sex, or you don't need to have a religion. You can just be who you want to be, love who you want. He was taking these kids and pushing them more towards a Christianity standpoint, a biblical standpoint of life. And a lot of people did not like that, and a lot of people do not like that. If you seen with Candace Owens, and she was talking about how her and Charlie was always texting each other back and forth when they was on the road traveling. And so she wanted to meet Kanye because she felt that Kanye would be with Blitzit, the organization that she and Officer Tatum had put together. But Blitzit ended up being taken in and under the umbrella of Turning Point USA. So even though Candace is listed as still being the president of Blitzit on her on the website, it's like she still doesn't have complete control over social media and different things like that. That is ran by Turning Point USA. So here it is, a company. She's no longer with Turning Point USA because she resigned. They wanted her to resign because of what she said about Hitler. And then the company that she came up with, it's like it's not fully 100% hers because it's under the umbrella of Turning Point USA. So is this why she's so mad at Turning Point USA? Is this why she's so upset and want to, have all these negative things to say about them and how they betrayed Charlie? Is she talking about how they betrayed her, or how she feel they betrayed her? Because they got her out of there. When she said something about Hitler, they forced her to resign. She resigned, however you want to look at it. She resigned, they forced her to resign, but she's no longer there. And like I said, her company Blitzit is not 100% hers. And if you look at their logo for Blitzit, it's the Turning Point USA logo, the same design. It's the same design, letting you know that it's part of Turning Point, a company that she's not with. So when Candace do all these things and say all these things, you have to think about what is her actual motive. Because like I said before, I feel that she's trying to turn people against Christianity. Because why would Charlie build a whole organization about faith and then turn away from that? That's going to disappoint everyone that's coming along with him. That's going to disappoint all these college students. It's like his whole brand was based on him being a conservative Christian man who loved his country. He's pushing this on college students, high school students, to be able to be independent thinkers and doing things like that, just to turn away from that. Because a lot of people don't agree with Catholics and Christian being the same. You can ask a lot of Christians and they will tell you that Catholics and Christians are not the same. I'm not saying this to hurt anybody or anything like that, but a lot of people feel that way. So to have Charlie going towards Catholicism, that's almost like turning his back on a company he built from the ground up. That doesn't make any sense. And she's not saying what her agenda really is, because she has an agenda. Regardless of what she keeps saying, I'm just trying to figure out who did this to Charlie. Why aren't you pointing out what he was doing on college campus that hurt other people, hurt professors who was trying, they may have been communists against America, against Christian values? Why are you not pointing them out? Why are you not pointing out everybody that could have had an agenda to get rid of Charlie? But like I said, you have an agenda. We don't know what that agenda is, but you currently have an agenda. I feel that you're trying to turn a lot of people against Charlie as far as the college students and what he stood for as a Christian, as a conservative, and for Christian values. I think that's what you're trying to turn people away from. And that's why you keep putting out there that he was thinking about being a Catholic before he died. And then also, like I said, you keep speaking all these subliminal messages out there that are negative, that goes against Christianity. A lot of people may not be catching it, but I'm catching it. I hear what you're be saying sometimes when you be speaking about manifesting and lucid dreams and different things like that. That contradicts what the Bible says. So that's my whole point of doing this video. And this also to give you an idea of what was kind of like going on, what was his mission when he started Turning Point, what direction he was trying to head in, and how many college students he did affect in a positive way to think about Christian values, to think about what they want to do with their life and the direction they want to head in. Like always, let's stay discerning, let's stay rooted, and above all, let's keep our eyes on Jesus.